Yep. Hello.
Hi, everybody, and to all of our worldwide viewers on Instagram. My name is Vicente Cruz. I'm the Oakland Greens event and fundraising coordinator, and this is our monthly public general meeting for August. And what we'll do first is, luckily, we small enough we never need, rarely need introductions. So we're at agenda review. And so first on is November general election discussion for 10 minutes. Then a SLAP report back for 10 minutes, computer update for 5 minutes, County Green Sunday proposal for 15 minutes about withdrawing and focusing on Oakland, virtual town hall update, Parker direct action report back for 10 minutes, tabling and outreach for 10 minutes, social media, 5 minutes, Treasury fundraising for 5 minutes with a changing bank update, announcements, and then adjournment. Was there anything else we needed to add? Hearing none. Well, so actually the first one was put on by Greg, but I still think it was a general discussion about what, as I guess for us as Oakland Greens, what we will be doing in respect to November elections, so much like not even about literature that we would put out at the Solano Stroll or when we get back out on the street, but what type of message we want to be focusing on. I mean, other than, our education platforms, is there anything else we should be talking about at all? So just a general discussion. I open the floor. Dale, I see Dale.
Yeah, I thought Greg wanted to talk about finding volunteers to write up the for the voter guide, the ballot measures for Oakland.
That could be, as I said, Greg's not here. But yes, that could be as well. Trying to get that out there. I still wouldn't be able to do that till I get my computer. I see Bill and then Michael, please.
Well, I was just going to make a similar point. I think there are a number of ballot measures that in regard to a range of housing issues, a range of possible sources of income. Some of them I think will be somewhat more difficult to decide on. So I'm hoping we'll have a chance, to review those fairly well, not only in the context of the Green Voter Guide, but specific to Oakland.
Michael, please.
Okay. I think that we should focus as the Oakland Greens on the school board in Oakland. There's action around that. I won't give. I'm going to give my SLAP report later is going to be focused on the school board, and I think that there's a fair amount of activity and interest in the school board elections. There's an optimism about changing the school board, and so anyway, that's what I want to say about this.
Vote Mike Hutchenson. I always, definitely that falls under my education umbrella. I don't know. I can always put it out there, of course, on our social media. I just have never seen, for whatever reason, because it would take too long to discuss the reasons why, but there's never been energy. It's always been the same people who work on voter guides and writing all that stuff up. And like I said, starting in 2012, we're burning out, we're dying out, we're about to start, literally. And we have not done enough. And I'm hoping that wants to be my focus, is trying to change that. We have to find, because in reality too, everyone in this room, right? Although I now feel like I'm not going to escape no clean drinking water, but the real fucking drama that's going to happen from all the climate change, we will fucking be way with our ancestors before that happens, thankfully. At least for me, I'm thankful that I don't have to deal with that shit. But we didn't do our best. 60s weren't as great as anyone thought. We could have done better. We could have been focusing on getting candidates way back then. And the only thing I can say, again, for the Oakland Greens credit for, again, most of the people in this room that have been with the Oakland Greens for, well, I got 2006 and stuff when we were out there, we've been talking about it for a very long time. I thought actually we started late, but we were yelling this shit for a long time. And it just, people are so caught up in the rat race or whatever. Like I said, it takes, I don't want to get into reasons why, but that is what's happening. And unless we really find those next people who are going to take it seriously and realize what the fuck is really going to happen to them, right? Then, then it's like all we're doing is just easing our conscience as far as that goes. So I will definitely be focusing on that. And I hope they have luck with finding people to write up the voter guide. It is important. I see Orlando's hand, please.
Yep. And I echo the same sentiment. I just think, from the Greens to the county council, I see a big difference. And I think if the county council adapted some of the Oakland Green values, it could push it in general and it won't just be a separation. It's like the county council is like a separate group, but have separate entities. So when it comes to candidates' endorsements, I'll be more like, not like I'm better, but I'm like, I'm in the field. So I'm talking with these individuals. So when it comes from endorsement and you actually don't do a rundown and then somebody email you some plagiarism, some stuff that make it look good, you actually don't know who that individual is. So I'd be more like, endorse the cast that you're really working with, that really understand, and not just support people just because our name is valid. No matter what they say, go green, equal environment, whatever's going on, the Green Party name is going to be visible regardless. It's just us as Oakland Greens, we get overshadowed over the work we do. To sum it up, Vicente do a damn good job. He posting all day, doing vlogs, he's doing everything. And for me, it'd be disheartening when they be like, well, what are we trying to do? And I'm not being biased, but like, I see him doing work. I see Michael doing work. I see Mika doing work. I see Dale doing work. But when can the others see that the work really makes a big difference?
And if I piggyback on that too, and it's not just the stuff that's on social media, at least in the POAD community, right? Kyle, who is like not here, but again, behind the scenes, the shit that doesn't get posted. So not even the values, but just like any sort of outreach. Orlando, myself, like we're out, we talk to people like on the street, right? And do things on the street, shit that you can't even report on, because it benefits the community, but the establishment wouldn't like it, but it's still fucking a valuable service. Something like needle exchanges, right? Why that's such a debate. It shouldn't be, but it is, right? And so only certain places. But so there is definitely things that the county and state could take from people here. I know Dale talked to people in his community, and that's like a different, definitely a different demographic than what Orlando and Kyle and I are talking to, but at least Oakland, we've always been, and people noticed it and would say it. Again, when Don ran, the first 2 weeks he was in the hospital. So it had to be us, and he'd be getting fucking messages saying, oh man, we're seeing your shirt, people with your shirts around, walking around all the fucking time, right? Actually wearing out fucking shoes, talking to people, not even on social media. I mean, we are, I think at least are navigating that really, really well. So those things they could take from us. Again, Greg's not here. Is there anything else on elections and what I heard? And we'll go back on is what we're going to do in Oakland when we're out the street, really focus on education and how that could change everything. And not hearing any. The next one actually is yours, Michael. You said a report for the SLAP report back, please, Michael.
All right. SLAP, everybody I assume knows that it was an initiative of the Longshoremen, Local 10, and it has two basic principles. One is the fight against the Howard Terminal, and the other is the fight against school closures. And the fight against school closures has come to the fore in a sense because there is a lot of interest in the question of who's going to be these representatives of ours on the Oakland School Board. And let me just say that SLAP has set up a committee focusing strictly on the school board. And that met last Thursday. There were 25 people on a Zoom. And the other thing that we should know is that Don McClay is one of the co-chairs. There are two co-chairs of the committee from SLAP, and Don is one of them. And Don has become very active. He's now on the steering committee of SLAP, which is important for us. Let me just say what happened at the Thursday meeting, because it's very relevant. The committee has identified 6 candidates who are progressive, and 5 of them were at the meeting on Thursday and spoke. And I'll talk more about the individuals in a minute. There are two candidates that have been designated as progressive in each of the 3 districts that are up in September, 2, 4, and 6. So I will talk about the. Let me just say one other thing generally, and that is, people are pretty radical, although it's not uniformly so. Some people are more radical than others, but to me, all of the people who are running off the SLAP list are suitable for endorsement by us. And I'll go back to that at the end. Let me tell you about the 2 candidates. The 2 candidates in District 2 are a woman named Jennifer, let's see, Brohard.
No, Brohard.
Brohard, sorry, right, I can't read my own writing. She's I think a retired teacher.
Correct.
And the other person is Max
Roscoe.
Right. Those are the 2 in District 2. In District 4, Michael Hutchenson and Valerie are the 2 candidates in District 4. And in District 6, Joel Velasquez and Picolia.
No. Picolia is in District 4.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Who's the other person in District 6? Let me see here.
The other person is Joel.
Right, but who's the other one? Joel and who's the other?
In District 6, it's Valerie.
Oh, Valerie, got it. Okay.
Joel. In District 4, it's Mike and Picolia, and you mentioned already the ones in District 2.
Right, fair enough. We had the meeting was sort of in pieces. The first piece was each of the 5 people. Mike Hutchinson was not available. He had to. He had a responsibility for an official function of the school board, which he couldn't miss. So there were 5 of the 6 people were at our meeting. The first part of it was each of the 5 candidates that have been identified as progressive were given time to talk about their issues. There was some variation, but every single person is against school closures. That's as you know or should know, that the basic value of SLAP is school closure, is the campaign against school closures, and no one who's not in favor of fighting every single school closure is not going to be endorsed by SLAP, which speaks well for it. the main thing that I want to say about the meeting as a whole, I'm not going to go into what different people said. I took some notes, but the main thing is that everyone agreed, except for Mike Hutchenson, who wasn't there, but I think he will agree once he's noticed about what happened. And that is, people think that the way to win is since there are two candidates that we want to support in each district, that we're going to employ ranked choice voting. That is, each candidate will ask their supporters to vote for them first, but also to vote for the other person second. And so each person is going to do that in September, in November. So I was very excited. This is progress. We're moving towards a slate, which I think is really important. Not everyone knew each other or were familiar with each other at the beginning, but by the end of the meeting, I mean, one got the definite impression that we were moving towards a slate. And lastly, the last thing I'll say is that it's my hope, and I will fight for the fact for our party to endorse, to do the same thing as what SLAP does. The next general meeting of SLAP is going to be in September. I'll send it out so that people who want to see what's going to go on. I'm assuming that the September general meeting of SLAP will hear a strong report from the meeting that last Thursday, and make some decisions along the lines, hopefully, of the decisions that were made at the committee meeting. So I think that's probably all I can say. I mean, I'm glad to answer questions if I can, but I think that's a general outlook. That's what I wanted to tell people.
Thank you for that report back, Michael. And yes, please, I've been actually trying to find the Zoom link for those meetings for a couple of months.
Oh, one last thing, I forgot.
Okay.
They will be posting on the SLAP website the unedited meeting. The meeting was taped, and so it will be on the website of SLAP, and it also will be, I think, on YouTube. I think SLAP has set up a YouTube thing. So I wanted to make that clear.
Thank you. And then it's Orlando, Bill, and then Dale, please.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, I had a question. It is, even though we can endorse the candidates or just say the overall process, how in return that they can support us as the Oakland Greens besides when it's non-election time?
Huh.
How can we continue to support as we give y'all, say, Democrats running, and you get the Greens to support them, and say, for instance, it's a 2.5% gap rate. So say it's 2,500 votes is at stake. So if the Democrats only have so many Democrats registration, that means the Greens registration will make a big difference when it's balancing the scale. So if Mike Hudson and him and his candidates was running, and they both got 1,000 votes, and then us as the Greens contribute 2,500 votes to make the difference, how can they support us and support you with your wisdom and your hard work and your dedication to the school system?
Well, shall I answer directly?
Yes.
Okay. I think our best bet is to work through SLAP itself. That is the thing will be to get a commitment from the candidates that we support
Yes.
to report to us, to be involved with us, and to build SLAP. That was one of the questions that was one of the questions that came up at Thursday's meeting. In fact, is how are you willing to make a commitment to helping build SLAP, as part of your campaign? And every single person said yes, who of the 5 people who were there. So I feel very good. I feel very good about them and endorsing them. Over.
You got my support. I'm right along with you. Let's SLAP. Yes.
And Bill, please.
Yes, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to be on the Thursday meeting. I'd been on a previous meeting of that committee, and but I'll say a few things in regard to what Mike mentioned. I agree generally with his approach and what seemed to be the majority approach there. By the way, the next general SLAP meeting will be August 31st.
No, that's not so. It has been postponed.
It's been postponed. Okay, sorry. So I'm assuming it'll still be at Westlake. But I think there are a couple of things we will have to navigate that will cause a certain level of reflection on how to do this. One is that, as Mike mentioned, we're asking people to campaign jointly. It's at this point there may be a problem with that, but I think it's the right approach. But I think the related thing is what we're going to see is people that we need or want to work with may not take that approach. So I think we should, when I say we, I'm saying the Greens as well as supporting SLAP, should be consistent, but understand that there are tensions. And while, yes, the school closures issue is the most central issue, and by the way, it also is related to another SLAP activity around Parker School, which is not one and the same. That there are going to be moments when we have to decide. I could comment on some of the candidates. I've been involved with a number of them over time. But I certainly go along with the general approach that there should be an attempt to get them to work together. So I think it's an ongoing question that we'll need to review as we go along. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill. Dale, please.
Michael, in my District 4, when I talk to my neighbors, they certainly understand the question of school closures. But they don't, what they ask me, a question that I can't answer, I couldn't answer, involves privatization. And that question is, in the last decade, or even the last 20 years, can we point to one parcel of public City of Oakland owned land that has been bought up by the privatizers?
Well, yes. It's a little more complicated than just a straight purchase, but 39 that passed, it's a state proposition. What it does is, if the school district declares a closure or even sharing of space, they don't need all the space that they have at the moment, then it opens the door for for the charter school movement. That's the privatization that's primarily involved in schools, is the expansion of private and mostly for profit charter schools.
Right, I understand the Proposition 39 and their right to get that vacancy if they want it and challenge it. But in terms of a sale, that the land has been conveyed away, this has not occurred, correct?
I couldn't say yay or nay. This is not my area of expertise.
Nor mine either.
What I suggest is that, well, I can send out just today on the SLAP list. Someone has compiled a list of all the closures of the Oakland Public Schools, and it's a long list. It's like 30 or 40 over the last 10 years or so. Oakland, that many Oakland public schools have been closed, and mostly what they've been reopened as is charter schools, and it's possible that the charter schools don't own the property, but they have long leases. For the most part of that, I do know. So I think it's a not as important as some people may think issue. That is the closing of public schools and giving most of that space that were public schools has been given to charter schools. There are now 45 or something like that charter schools in Oakland. I think that's the important thing, and that the question of ownership of the land is a less important thing, frankly, in my judgment.
Isn't it true that about 4 of the charter schools have lost their lease in the last?
Yeah, I think some of the charter schools have closed, but the list, I haven't seen the most recent list of charter schools in Oakland, but I do know that at least a few of them have closed.
Okay, am I correct to understand the other question I can't answer when I bring all this up about Howard Terminal, for example, that too is going to be a leasing agreement with John Fisher and the Oakland A's? Or are we selling off parts of the port?
That I can't answer either. I don't know. That is, what I do know is that that it's possible that it will be sold. I think that's one of the things that they're still the city of Oakland is still negotiating with Fisher, and they've been negotiating for months, and they may never reach any agreement. As a matter of fact, I mean, the fact is that a lot of people now believe that, and this is something that I believe very strongly for a long time, is that the port deal was not about a stadium at all. Primarily, it's primarily a real estate matter.
Absolutely.
And that's what's probably being negotiated as we speak. And so I'm not sure if there's a final answer to your question, in the sense that what I do know is that the city and Fisher are still negotiating, and it's quite possible that the stadium itself will never be built. But what will happen is that the Fishers will get control of the land, and then we'll be able to build houses and department stores and whatever else that this is really about. Over.
Yeah. One quick last question for you. You talked about the candidates running in 2, 4, and 6, but is there a greater Oakland, a go candidate in every one of those races? I
assume so, although I don't know, and I don't even particularly care. What I care about is our side, and I'm assuming that all of the candidates that we're talking about will have opposition from the right, but right. One of them is in 2. I think it's 2, or maybe it's 4. David Kakashiba is running, and he's.
2.
I'm sorry.
2.
I think the go candidate in District 4 is Resnick.
Could be.
Yeah, I can address that, but I will let Mike finish.
Anyway, I don't know, and I don't really even care. What I care about is what we're going to do, not what our opponents are going to do, and that's what I'm focusing in on, is how can we give ourselves the best chance to change the character of the Oakland School Board. Over.
Yeah, so it also underlines your emphasis on the importance of ranked choice voting.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to call myself and then Bill. Want to confirm they're still in negotiation. Yes, so there's no answer to that last question. And it is a real estate deal. I would agree with that as well. On the actual school front, it's not just that they are closing public schools and giving them to charter schools that are mostly for-profit. It is also those for-profit education companies are giving an education to our children that, you know, completely washes out real American history. Of course, it's never going to, it'll give contracts to big agricultural companies to come and provide lunches that will be unhealthy and giving, you know, the kids diabetes and just, you know, tons of processed food instead of having real cafeterias and all the shit that we talk about in our you know, local schools, healthy schools and stuff policies. So it's not just about that. You know, I'm a big fan of hallucinogens, so I love Alice in Wonderland, and I continually go down the rabbit hole on this, and it's not just that they're trying to make money. They're trying to educate a specific, like each segment of the populace, they want to educate to a certain level to fit, to control for the lifestyle that these wealthy, mostly still, you could use white male landowners, like the same slave owners, you know, mentality.
Yeah, right.
And stuff that are actually just wanting to have control over populace so they don't lose their shit because they're really just insecure little children. So that's it on that one too. And Bill, please, thank you.
Yeah, I would say this, and even though many of us, I included, have focused on the use of, or the potential sale of land, especially a place like Kaiser, which, you know, is an obvious target. It still hasn't been put up to the developers. It could, and there could be others. But to me, it's the real question around this sale is how it links into the broader gentrification process. And that's the real issue in these questions. It's not an accident that although we're seeing now schools like Parker in East Oakland targeted, that if you go back some way, the closures in West Oakland were much more critical as far as the spearhead of this. And what's happened in terms of gentrification there. And by the way, just a quick note, if you haven't read Don's article in the Progressive, I can send it out. Some of you may have already. But I'll reiterate that while I agree with Mike in terms of an election strategy, I think we have to look closely, as Vicente is putting out, at some of the other issues we want to raise strenuously in this. And there are a range. I'm not going to try to get into a discussion on that now. There are a range of issues in terms of how education is structured, in terms of how funding will be utilized, community schools and so forth, that shouldn't be ignored, even while we look to prevent the overtly pro-developer candidates. And there are, you're right, there are a number. And by the way, Kakashiba is a former school board member who went along with, even though he did some things that people at the time thought were very good, he, for the most part, went along with the closures in previous years. So we definitely don't want to see a repeat of that. Thanks.
I see Orlando, and then if there is anything, I was going to close stack and move on. Orlando, please.
Yeah, there's some to answer your question on the land. I was on the Stop Goldman Sachs Coalition in 2010 and so forth. The bottom line is Oakland been sold off. Properties in the areas been sold off. The problem solution is the Fisher family, his son, not the daddy, because the daddy not here. So the son family has inherited this popular generational school charter name. But the reality of it is people out there that's names that's not being mentioned and coalitions that's being supported that's keeping the lab grab going on for the city of Oakland. So to answer that, to not to be, in too much, but that's the bottom line. Stop using the Fisher family as the bait and look at the real issues. People confuse Oakland, the city council, and administration. That's all separate. So people got to realize the city council is not Oakland City. Oakland City has its own administration. City council has their own administration. So a lot of people get their information from council members and not the city. So that's why it looks so much chaotic. But this is nothing new up under the sun. Like the Signature family, they've been buying acres and blocks and so forth. And, it's just history. But, I'm like with Mike, besides all the rhetoric, let's just do our part, do our job and make it happen. Over.
Thank you. I see Michael and then Mika.
Well, let me just say, it's possible that the progressive movement will not be entirely united. It's possible, for example, that the union may not agree with the direction that SLAP is going. I say, too bad. It is too bad, but my vote is SLAP. Over.
How about that? Thank you. Doing two things. Mika, please. Sorry, got to unmute.
Sorry about that. I just had one comment about this, and actually kind of a question, because when we're talking about what they want to do for a ballpark and Howard Terminal, not only are we talking city council, aren't we talking the Port of Oakland? And they're a totally entity on their own, so there are other players in the field already that they're not even talking about, I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Not only the port, but the county is essentially totally involved.
Well, at least I know now why they don't want to build at the current site, because it's just a land grab. And so they don't really give a shit about the state.
Yeah.
They'd get the lease on that and then go, oh, and now we actually are going to redo the stadium where it is, now that we got the lease on that land and we can put up luxury.
I think the most likely thing is they're going to move to Las Vegas, frankly.
Oh, that would follow in too. That's all right. All you people out here got your fucking sports teams from Philly, so we've got a little bone. Anything else on SLAP or any questions, comments?
I thank you, Dale, for your community research, and you started a great dialogue. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. And I look forward to that, to getting on those meetings too. It sounds like SLAP is doing some good work, Michael. I like it. The next one is easy. The computer update. So it was my own mistake. I thought it was in the cart and I ordered everything. So I'm missing a key component to the computer, which I will be buying this week. And then we're building this Sunday we will finish. We will be doing it live on the Oakland Greens Instagram channel, as we did at the beginnings. So those will be, and then, yeah, maybe I have two, maybe I'll bring both and I can actually record one and then actually put it up on our YouTube channel as well, and Facebook and all that shit as a straight video. But anyway, so yes, we will be hopefully up and running on Sunday. Are there any questions about the computer build whatsoever? Seeing none. Whoops. And the next one is the County Green Sunday proposal. So as everyone know, I offered to just coordinate so that the county wouldn't have to find anyone every month, someone who's going to, make the promotional graphics, type up the bios about the presenters or any of that shit too. And there was a few dissent. The one that sticks out to me was that somehow it would be a risk, which it was hard for me to process that because nothing would really be changing. You just would have a person to do it. And I was going to write a proposal along with making the year contract proposal more detailed, and then a 6-month proposal as well. I will also just end that, like, I'm not taking a penny, right? It was all going to go to the Oakland Greens, but instead, what I have decided is at the next meeting, I will withdraw that proposal. And my goal now is to focus on the Oakland Greens finding 2 people who could fill the role that I do, with those 2 people also with some sort of mandate to be able to grow the Oakland Greens enough for us to be our own, just like the county actual, like registered with the state, certified by the state party. So this is like kind of a 5-year plan that I'm putting forth. And it's one that I could accomplish no matter where I would be. And I'm also within this too, even though I was just elected, I'm going to be resigning from the state at the next meeting, even though I will still help with planning of hybrid general assemblies and just like event production. But just as far as actual being a voting member, I'm going to throw everything into the Oakland Greens, and with everything else, also in case, we were talking about it before the recorded session, through the pandemic and now the endemic and climate and just so much, the world is so heavy that even as an individual and in the field that I'm in, like we still have shows cancel every week because of COVID. They can't do them anymore. So, but anyway, with everything in life, like I'm barely staying below water. So I can only do like the energy I can do. And especially once I get the computer back up and running, we're going to be going back to our live in-person events and meetings and everything. I don't think that I would have the energy for anything else. And I won't lie and say that it wasn't a little hurtful and felt a little disrespect that there was any dissent over it. I didn't think that, having someone just come in and do all the work for the county would be so controversial with anyone. But, we had 3 dissenters. And I also want to say, the recorded session and live, that I also had people had my back as well. James McFadden offered to just drop $1,000 donation to the county to give, right, which would have took care of most of the cost. But still there was some things too. So rather than do that, I will also am pulling off of the words of a friend, success is the best revenge. And if I pull off a $7,000 year next year, like, so, the phrase I'm going for is next year, I hope the Oakland Greens need to hire an accountant to actually do taxes, because we'll make over what we are allowed before we would have to actually file any real paperwork other than 0. And finding 2 people, I think that would be the best way to show that the model that we've kind of come up with and where we've been going over all of these years after getting energy back after a disastrous mayoral election in 2014 and everything that went down then, I think would be the best revenge, and then would also show, well, look, the county could do this too. Here, we've already fucking done it. And I see Bill with his hand, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure the meaning that you're withdrawing the proposal about the Green Sundays. I'll just say that there were people who had questions, including myself, but didn't oppose it, rather just wanted to be clear on the meaning of this. And then there were some who, I'm not going to get into naming names and so forth, who seemed reticent, but the majority seemed ready to move ahead. So I just want to make that clear that once we understood, some of the particulars.
Correct. But there was a quote too, we shouldn't assume the risk. And that was, very true.
No,
anyway,
there were some people who were, somewhat.
Michael, please.
Obviously you have the right to do whatever you think is best. But one thing you said, which I didn't agree with, and I want to make sure I understood it even, but the implication of going separately as the Oakland Green Party to the state to be certified or anything like that is, we have a state organization. That's who deals with the state. I am not in favor of completing or withdrawing or anything else.
I think you're misunderstanding me. So we have county parties. Why can't Oakland be a party as well?
No, it's because it's a violation of. We have bylaws which don't permit that.
Okay, well then I just would be building the Oakland Greens to be sustainable on its own, and then I see Greg.
That would be an improvement that I can understand.
You're muted.
Hi, Greg.
Okay. Yeah, so the way I understood it, what you were saying, Vicente, is you were talking about the money aspect. I think you said something like $7,000. That, yeah, if we raise more than the minimum that the state says we need to file as a political group, if you're just an activist group not involved with elections, but if you are involved with elections, I think it's $2,000, then we're required to file. So we wouldn't have any choice. We'd have to. So that's what I took it as just the money aspect.
I actually hope I get between 7 and 10. 7's even lofty. 10 would be amazing, but I am going to do a full court fucking press on it. So that's the idea. I mean, we've been in emergency way too long, and it's no secret that I also think the county doesn't do enough to grow the party. So I think it would be great if Oakland could show that it's possible. And here is a template model that you can use to actually somehow find, because I want to do the money, but also really we need people's time more than we need money. People are just so burnt out, or they don't give a shit, right? They're very apathetic. They've definitely been able to keep us distracted away from the politics of our own communities and the social justice of our own communities. So, Mika, please, yes.
Did you call me? Okay. I was trying to listen very closely to what you were saying, Vicente, and there's no rule in that. There's bylaws in the state charter that does not allow that. You could have as far as I remember, as many different cities that you could have that many different green parties, but they're all belong to that county. That's the way the voting and everything is done. So, you can't, a city couldn't operate to be their own thing with voting voice or whatever. on the state
I'm fine too.
thing, so it has to be through the county. That's all I know.
I see Orlando.
I think from my just opinion, with what Vicente is saying is just like basically just gonna turn up the Oakland Greens. We're gonna get a lot of people, we're gonna raise some money, we're gonna do all the things we know from people that's actually in the field. By me being on the county council, and you look at my work, I'm the only person on the county council that's a two-striker. I'm the only person from the county council is an African-American that lived in Oakland, had been in Group Homes County Jail, Seaway Penitentiary, and escaped the feds. I'm the only person on the Green Party County Council that ran against Ron Dellums, and they didn't want me to split the votes in 2006 and put my life on the line for helping my community. I'm the only person on the county council that was elected by Ron Dellums to be on the committee. I'm the only African-American on the committee that got the city of Oakland to put their money behind them and pass the Oakland Municipal City ID card. So the point that I'm getting to is my historical landmark work makes a difference. But when it comes to people that don't live like us and don't talk like us and don't have the same skin color, that means I'm not valued. I have never once asked to be being a presenter or a speaker on any issues and levels when it comes to the city and the county, and I'm qualified. I'm the only person on the county council board that worked for Alameda County Care Connect, a direct program that did 5 Keys Motel and did the whole cabin, the whole COVID through the whole state of California. But do Orlando Johnson get recognized? No, I don't do it for the recognition. I do it for the Oakland Greens all day and every day. So the point with Vicente saying is that we're putting in work and we're getting tired of being overshadowed to make this party grow and bring some diversity to it. And it's only the same individuals that's stuck. It's sad. I've been elected to 3 of the GA delegate meetings, and anything I say has been relevant, but I was elected to be a delegate and my viewpoint don't count. But I talked to about 4 or 5 of those council members, people that's in Marin County, Santa Clara County, and I still outreach to them, but people in my own county don't respect it. So I just think what he said is we just trying to turn it up a notch. We're not trying to be in no competition, but hey, if that bridge up the gap, that means people in the county council, I have more recognition and respect for somebody like me that can recommend someone to do something. Vicente said it from the gate, it's not about the money. We trying to put the money back into the county so we can start paying people to come work, paying people to do the work, and build the party like it's supposed to be with the bylaws. But some of the bylaws is discriminatory because it never had these many people of color. And Vicente is not even African-American, and they treat him like he's a black person.
Well, and I didn't know the legality that Oakland couldn't be equal to the county and be its own political. But either way, he's right. I want, if we don't do it, the government's not coming for us, right? Before all, even if we were successful and had control of the school board already, none of us are young enough that we would see alternative parties in this current fucking corrupt ass system have anything viable on the national level, right? Maybe if we had already had control of, had progressive candidates, whether they be green or whatever, on city council and school board now, we might be talking about state level, right? I would love to see it that there's alternative parties, or, again, I'm an anarchist, fuck political parties altogether, right? Just find the best people and fucking put them to work. That's what you fucking do. You find smart, we still have smart people. We just need to find them and put them in a room and get them to work on the systems that we talk about, that we know that could be sustainable. So, and I would love to see Oakland Greens specifically, be on that level, right? The same thing that they say to, why do we even print so many voter guides? We don't have that many Greens. There's all these people who are so-called identified with the 2-party system, but are reading our shit because they want to know what the fuck we have to think, because we still have those critical thinkers who can put forth, even though it's the same people, all my criticisms are completely true. We need so much outreach, right? I don't know. Well, and And I'm not preaching to I am preaching to a fucking choir. Is anyone else here just not burnt out, not tired, and just feeling like everything's okay? I don't think that's true. We've been screaming that it's a state of emergency on all of the fucking literature that the Oakland Greens have. One of the first fucking things you can always see is that, oh, we've been in crisis mode for so long. And that's why we need to, why we need these new systems, because, the 10 cities, the drug, just all the fucking bullshit. Right. So I hope that I can grow that. And it's also, again, not fucking lying about it. It wasn't the I want to be positive about what or exact about what I was going to do as it. The stronger dissent over risk and other things said, I use risk because that's the strongest one, said, you know what? Fuck this. You don't want my fucking energy that I do for a living, that I've actually already done for the Oakland Greens, right? It's like I'm Draymond Green, right? I am the soul and the fucking heart of this organization especially when it comes to technology, right? Because I'm still in that fucking world and they don't want to fucking use it. Well, guess what? My unwashed black ass, you can kiss it. And I'll show you, I will prove what the fuck can happen, right? Because we've already done it. It's stuff, again, that you can't promote. You can't fucking promote it, but we're doing it in the street on a daily basis. So they don't want it. They don't have to have it. That's what's happening. Anything else? Yes, Greg.
Just a little check about what happened there. Did you hear what Mika said before she left?
I think she didn't like the emotional outburst.
I
wasn't calling any person out. I was still debating ideas, the whole person. And we probably then, in that aspect, should have called vibes when people were telling me that it's somehow a risk to have me be an event coordinator.
Okay, well, I just thought she shouted the word vibes and then left. I just wanted to check.
Not to interject, exactly. But see, that's the thing. What I was saying, it's just like we one family and we one knit. And if somebody really don't like what somebody's saying or feel, they could just call them on the phone and do that. To do that on a recorded call, we all just getting our emotions and vents out. But and then I'm not saying that I love Mika Daniels to the heart. I've been with her since when I first started, she introduced. I'm not talking about her. I'm just saying that overall, if we have people that don't like our personal views and feelings and we doing the work, just let us know. I know a lot of people don't like the work I do, but like I said, I've been representing Green since 1999 to the hardest. So it's like, come on, man, if y'all don't like me, then just tell me. If you don't like the work, then say it, but don't hold no personal grudges. And I'm not saying I'm the bad apple, but I knew that when Vicente, because I'm on the county council. So when Vicente did his presentation, I'm on the county council. My votes and stuff count. So when I seen that, it wasn't that Vicente work, it was people who had personal vendettas and they was only talking around the circle. So them people who had the personal vendettas was the ones that had the questions. The question was, can he produce? Our reality was he do all these shows and events. But the reality was that certain group didn't like Vicente. So when it came to the Robert Rules of Order, that means is that group had the majority to say what they want to say, even if it was on the bias. We shouldn't have to go through this. We grown folks. We not kids. But that's just my opinion. But I see the bias and I don't like it. And I just think that we need to have a grievance and people need to have one big county council meeting and say what you don't like about somebody so we can move forward. But that underneath, that little shady stuff, that's not fair for people from the streets because we see it and we peek through it. So I just think it's not right.
And the Peanut Gallery and Instagram said it was passion rather than aggression. And we purposely, even when Bill was saying, we purposely did not give names, the ideas that were coming out. And it was super hurtful. That's why I was so fucking emotional, like holding back fucking, again, passionate tears, like, oh my, really? I had no idea it was going to be such a controversial issue. The questions are one thing, yes, I completely, and I was literally typing out okay, we're going to go like literally like more step by step of what the expectation. So the county council is going to give me 11 ideas. And then I still would, even hearing the issue of if something came up that we needed to address and we just needed another event, I was going to do that as well. Because you can never have enough events. If people will come, the same people, and there would be no risk because it's the same thing that has been going on in the county for Green Sunday. It'd be the same people. People would be getting the same thing. The only difference would be the county would approve the song list that I would use for each month's meeting, the video loop of whatever we were going to be doing in the upcoming months, right? The same thing I did for the state, which only had one really controversial song and which I knew would be, but still got approved by the state. It wasn't going to be arbitrary, but anyway, so it was really hurtful. So yes, I did hear her saying it. I will admit, until she screamed it and left, I didn't understand, which I thought she just wanted to be in the queue or whatever. So anyway, the next item, I mean, as soon as the computer's up, we'll be doing virtual town halls again. Parker Direct Action may have a little bit more. I have not been there personally, but I know they're still there. People's Park's doing better than Parker, but it's the same thing. Does anyone else have any information about Parker?
I haven't been able to go.
Yeah.
My health doesn't permit me.
Yeah, no, it's not my health. The depression, sadness, horribleness. Yes, Greg, please.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to get there either, but I think I read somewhere that one or more of the people that were attacked by the police are planning to sue. That's the only news that I've heard.
Anything else on Parker as we're...
Well, the last thing I heard about through the media, not through any personal knowledge of mine, is that Parker's at a crossroads because school has started. A lot of the people who were involved with activities at Parker had to go back to work, and so that was the last I heard. I don't know how that turned out, whether people were able to maintain a presence at Parker, or whether or not the thing had to give way because of most of the people who are the most active are working teachers. That I don't know.
And that's part of the big question. Like, so how would we get the community that's right there, all of those people involved to open up the school and create, anyway, wish I had more energy. Anything else on Parker?
I have a quick word.
Yes.
I think, the question is to what extent this will be able to create an ongoing network, even if the site itself doesn't continue on. I think there's been both positive and negative, as I don't want to get into it now, but I think there's a lot of people who have become much more involved, both within the ranks of the OEA and other groupings. So even though it may, seem to not achieve everything that it wanted, I think that it's been a very valuable experience. So I'll leave it at that.
Direct actions are, if we could plan them even bigger and like literally open up that school that is in our literature, would be amazing. Anything else on Parker? No. tabling and outreach, as soon as we can get the computer back up and have access to all of our literature, and I can at least print it out black and white. That is the goal. And of course, we will be at the Solano Stroll. I'll be there with opening and closing.
When is the Solano Stroll?
September 11th.
Okay.
Yes. So we have plenty of time. But yeah, I was at the planning meeting. So was Mika Daniels, and James McFadden was also that meeting. That's the next scheduled one, but I still want to get out on the corner before then. That sounds funny. Social media, yep, is still the thing that's keeping us afloat. Treasury fundraising. So trying to get to Summit Bank, they wanted minutes and we've stopped doing minutes. Right now they're trying to figure out whether or not, because we do post the video, this one might get a lot of views. Use that as the minutes. Actually, what I'm going to do is use the timestamp. I will email them, call them again. It's like, oh, here's directly where you can go to the YouTube videos, and where, because it's always usually at the same spot over there too. So that's the only thing holding that up. I mean, we still have the same hassle bank account where we, just don't have any access. We haven't spent or gotten any deposits, or donations since the PayPal donations. The PayPal link is working, has worked. We've had 2 minor donations. One, I think, was just a test donation from Dale, I think. But then we have actually some large donations from either it's Instagram or something else, because I don't know who they are. They've given us like their names and all this stuff, but they're not anyone that's ever been to a meeting or anything. So it must be people that watch it. Any questions on that? Seeing none, are there any announcements? Oh, Michael, yes, please.
Yeah, I want to announce the next Sudden Socialism thing. Basically, it's about housing and generally, but it's going to focus on both in Berkeley and in San Francisco. There are going to be on the ballot in November, proposals. In Berkeley, it's a much more modest proposal, but the basics of it are trying to force the landlords who have vacant houses to pay a tax, a special tax for those people who have vacant houses and aren't renting them out. The one in San Francisco is much more extensive. The speakers are there's a speaker from Berkeley and a speaker from San Francisco, from the committee to pass this measure in San Francisco. I'm going to be speaking about the Howard Terminal deal from the point of view of real estate. I think it's very important that people understand that what's going on with the A's has very little to do with baseball and a lot to do with real estate and gentrification in general. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to have about 10 minutes. And then there's one more speaker, and that is Jean-Marc Chandon from the San Francisco Greens is going to talk about the San Francisco Greens view of the situation in Oakland. They support the current measure, but they think it's too limited. That is one of the problems with these measures is that they're talking about private owners. I mean, they affect private owners, and the fact is that we need more money, social money, rather than the private money in this matter, and that's what Jean-Marc is going to talk about. So that's September 11th at 2:30. It'll be a Zoom. I will send out flyers to Oakland and to the county council list. and very soon, within this probably this coming week, I'll be sending them out. Oh, and one last thing is you have to register in order to be sent the Zoom link. You have to register, and the flyer will make that really clear. But I encourage people to register in advance. Over.
Thank you. And I see Bill's hand up.
Yes, pardon me. On August 27th, Saturday, there's a benefit of poetry reading sponsored by the Haiti Action Committee and others. It's from 3 to 5. I'll send out the information. I'm not sure whether I should send it to you, Vicente, or Dale, or whomever, to send out to the whole list. It's basically a fundraiser for the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, which is based here in Oakland. And unlike many other, groupings that claim to be helping people on the ground, virtually all the money goes to projects, especially the medical school and other education institutions that were established by the La Valace movement. And just as an aside, and one of the things, unfortunately, it's a time overlap, but I just want to mention, I don't know if any of you knew David Makovsky. He was very active here on many activities, labor and environmental issues and so forth. And he passed away a little over a week ago. And there is one meeting, a memorial meeting, sadly, just a little before the Haiti event I mentioned. And then there is going to be the service, a large part of the service of the Berkeley Fellowship of Unitarian Universalists, remembering him. And I just want to say he was a friend of mine and a great comrade, and we're very sad that he's passed on. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, that'll go up on the recorded post. And then the only announcement, again, suggestion from the Peanut Gallery on Instagram is that, and one of the things, again, people, we don't publish. I do work with Consider the Homeless. But now I'm going to be doing research to see if I can find someone who's doing the mobile showers and seeing if we can also, make our green presence felt by going out to the encampments and providing shower services and things too. So that's what we'll be researching this month for the next time, and some of the things again that we're out for. Is there anything else? Yes, Greg, please.
If no one else has an announcement, I'm sorry I was late, but I'd like to go back to the November election issue just to check on a couple things.
Sure. Just the overview is that we talked about trying to put it out on our social media and things about trying to find people to write up for all the different races in the voter guide. But yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Well, great. So it sounds like you all talked about that, and no one on the call had any specific ideas about who might work on it. Okay.
No, just putting it out to, the few writers I have on our email list, and then putting it out on social media. And of course, this will still get published.
Okay. Well, I will, there's some people that, are kind of further down on my list, but it sounds like if we all on the call didn't have any names, and it's time for me to start calling them. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Well, we've been losing that energy. We're all fucking at the end of our rope, sadly. How do you get people into it? But
yeah, and I think having 10 ballot measures, I mean, that's twice as many as we've had before. So
and everybody's already thin, and then now you're going to dump. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, there's 9 mayor candidates. I mean,
oh my goodness.
I don't know if anybody saw the questionnaire answer that came in from Peter Liu.
I saw it. I wouldn't vote for him for dog catcher.
Oh, but it's so funny. I mean, reading it is so funny.
Oh, that's too much. Of course, right? No, I didn't read it, but I'm not surprised at all.
If you want a big joke, you got to read his questionnaire.
I keep them all. I archive all the emails and stuff.
Okay, well, his is just wild. So.
I mean, it was like one of those ones where you look at, did he realize he was sending this to the Green Party?
He don't care. You know, he's run for stuff before, and he was this way before, but he he really was out.
You know, give him at least a check mark for being honest.
I suppose.
Well, if there's nothing else, I move we adjourn. This is Vicente Cruz, Oakland Greens Event and Fundraising Coordinator. I will be really interested to see how many views we get, and I will look into the comments for the Court of Public Opinion on, there's never been a doubt that I've never been afraid of profanity, but I try to stay away from people. So I look forward to that. And we thank you for your support. And remember, most times we need your time more than your money, but if you want to, please go to oaklandgreens.org, donate and hit the PayPal and drop us $5 or something like that along. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Good night, all.
Night, everybody.
Yeah.